Director Defense Information, Major General John Enenche joins us now on Newsnight to discuss this. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm sure you must have a sense of relief somewhat with the freedom of, or the release, if you like, of this 344 schoolboys. But the question that Nigerians are asking, in spite of the operations either in Daji and all the others in the northwest and the northeast, even the north central, that such an abduction could happen. Why did this happen? Why did it have to happen in the first place, in spite of all of your operations?
Before I go ahead, please let me correct my appointment. I am coordinator, Defense Media Operations.
Okay.
So not director.
Not
I have an acting director.
Coordinator.
General
Thank you very much.
Onyoku, who is in the northeast rather. Yes, for asking such a question, I am not surprised, but somebody from, just like the general public, will be wondering. Then it tends to say that despite the way God created a human being, why should a sickness infest the body again? Sometimes it beats our imagination. That is the normal human being. But when you talk about security situation, you look at the background of all these theaters where we are challenged now, right from the northeast, north central, and then the northwest. There were remote causes, which have not been completely eliminated. And those remote causes could still be responsible for why, after we have been in the northwest for some months now, with Operation Katsina, Operation Accord, Operation Sahel Sanity, and then Operation Hadar in Daji above all, we have not completely eliminated militarily the causes. And the causes, sometimes collaboration, people who have been in this, they look at it as a way of life for years. But like I said, placing it on that background, that the remote causes of this banditry have not been completely eliminated, but we have moved a great deal. In collaboration with other security agencies and even the government in particular, they have done a lot. So it is the remnant, the little that is still left, that has been and was responsible for what appears to be this loophole that
Is that what you refer to as remote causes?
Yes,
No,
they are remote causes. They are immediate causes, but the remote causes are more. Those are the underlying factors.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, because this question is being asked by so many people who are involved in Bring Back Our Girls, and now they've set up another team, Bring Back Our Boys, but that Bring Back Our Boys cry has been short-lived. Now the question a lot of them are asking is, what is it about this operation that makes it such that they received such a level of success that within a week we were able to get them back?
What I can tell you authoritatively and to a large extent is the situation that helped and ensured that we achieved our objective. Our objective all over the country is to ensure that we nip them in the bud, or at the worst case scenario, bring them to a decisive conclusion successfully without losing anybody or leaving anybody behind. The reason here is that I know that this might, at the end of the day, attract a lot of reactions. But the level of intelligence provision, information provision, is a lot better in the northwest than in some of the other zones that were. Because I sit at the center, I get this information, work with them. There, the conspiracy of silence is not that much in the northwest.
Unlike
compared to other areas. Okay. And let me not be specific because they will begin to take me on, but that is the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that from when they open up to you and they tell you, look, we even have people who have been, they call themselves repentant bandits without being arrested. They will come up and say, look, I was a bandit in my family, we are there. There are families that even wives came forward to military authorities, to our agents, and reported their husbands, handed in weapons. Not all of these things we bring out to the open because we need to protect our informants. We provide them, but I can tell you that that was one of the main reasons, because from the time we got the technical intelligence, we got the information before the Air Force moved into the air, the land forces and all, it was all cooperation at every stage of our move. until when we now cordoned off the whole area, established the blocking positions, and nobody could move out, both on the, I mean, from the air we are getting information, and they had to what? Capitulate. But where you don't get that cooperation, and there is dissent, there is conspiracy of silence, sometimes you are bound to fail.
Have you been able to...
So that is what is mainly responsible, the great cooperation we got from our sources of information.
Have you been able to find out exactly, put your finger on the reason why people in the Northeast seem not to be cooperating? Based on what you have said, they're not cooperating, they're not offering information that can lead to intel.
Yes,
why exactly are they not cooperating?
Yes, those are the reasons that for you to be able to decode it and to come out fully is, like I said, there is a remote cause. Western education is bad. I served in the Northeast. About 21 years ago, I fought in that place. They call it Kwanta Kwanta. And I have said on several occasions, the dynamics, the way it's playing out now, there's no much difference as it were then. What am I saying? Banditry in the Northwest graduated to this level not up to 15 years ago, but as far back as 20 years ago, the Kwanta Kwanta that graduated to Boko Haram, to insurgency, to terrorism, had been rooted long ago. It just metamorphosed from one form to the other by our own analysis. So you know that once a tree is deeply rooted, it is more difficult to uproot and to remove than the one that have shallow roots. So in the Northwest, there is no, and then secondly, there is no ideological backing to what we have in the Northwest. It is all about economic and then monetary gains. But in the Northeast, you have ideological backing. Somebody's conscience and mind with a belief which has been turned to criminality, wickedness, and all. So they are not exactly the same thing. So that's why I said it's a lot easier. We're going to have an easier breakthrough, conclusive and decisive action more in the Northwest than some other zones where we are challenged.
Okay, so one of the things that at Arise News we try to make sure that we have our fingers on the pulse to know what the people are saying. And one of the things that seem to have been said by so many people, you see one of our reports, which was on what's happening on social media. One of the questions that's being asked consistently is, the first thing we heard was that the military, the security agencies were going in to rescue the boys.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we heard was that a negotiation was going on.
Yeah.
And they're two different things. They're not done the same way, and they cannot be mistaken for each other. Rescue operation means you're going in to get them. Negotiation means you're not going in to get them, you're going to discuss. And the key issue here is, if it is negotiation, something has got to exchange hands. And we heard the Minister for Information saying that we didn't give them any ransom. So what is it that was used to trade during negotiation for them to be taken back?
And was the military even part of that?
Yes, now let me even clear it. And I also want you to know that I have a schedule and a responsibility. And we are so focused on our military aspect of getting the children rescued. So if there were negotiations, it is not to my knowledge, and if it is where I would have told you, sincerely speaking, because I was and I have been in touch with the commanders in the field right from Sunday when we got there, and we got the briefing headed by the Honorable Minister of Defense and the Chief of Defense Staff. And I will recall that they say, look, we have no time to waste. Given by the Honorable Minister of Defense, we have the directive from the CNC to make sure we get these children out intact. Because after the briefing, we got all the information and put it into intelligence. They became actionable intelligence. That is, you can act on it and achieve result. And once that was done by the Army, the Air Force, the State Service, the police, and other agencies, and from the government, we were convinced. So by 2 p.m. that day, there was nothing like negotiation coming in on our own part. And we were not, I was not informed as a spokesperson. We need to tell the public the truth. And I contacted the commanders, nothing like that. All that we worked with and we are happy with that we gathered intelligence, with techno intelligence and everything, and it worked for us. And then the plan was laid out, and they were giving the marching orders, and everybody began to work from the troops level, from the tactical level, and every plan was put in place, and all the kinetic measures were enhanced. And that was what gradually, from one stage to the other, with the caution that no single life must be lost, particularly on the part of the children. And that was what caused that delay, that we had to work conscientiously. Of course, everything I cannot divulge on the air, because if we do that, it will jeopardize our future anticipated operations, because we cannot totally count on the people that, look, they have left their business as it were. So we need to keep some of these things without letting the world know, because if it comes on the air, actually that means we have let our plan, because we need to be reviewing our plans from day to day. So that was what happened. So nothing like negotiation was between us and anybody. All we did was just our planning, put together, putting measures in place that we carried out blockades and all, and then from air interdiction and harassment and all that put together.
The question we were trying to get an answer to is the difference between rescue and negotiation. You said very clearly it was a rescue mission and that was the focus. At what point did it become a negotiation, or that negotiation didn't take place, or it did, but outside of the remit or responsibility of the military?
It is outside the military. So I cannot talk on a negotiation that I was not briefed about, and I'm not truly aware of, right from the time I went into the planning stage of our rescue operation. So let me not, come up with any conflict or cause any confusion in this regard, because as it were, let me now go beyond a little with my knowledge and training. I taught at the Defense College, Army War College, at various levels, and I practiced it. In United Nations, we did negotiation. So, but negotiation is a non-kinetic approach to crisis management in war, amongst others. And that did not come to my table, or did not come to my schedule of responsibility in the context of the whole of this issue. So it will not be fair on me to say there was or there was not. It is not fair at all, because I was focused, and the military was focused primarily on ensuring it's a lot of things. Because if you now go and start getting yourself, concerned with the task that's not supposed to be yours for the moment, you model up things. So
and speaking of modeling of things, a statement coming from you actually, says that the defense headquarters actually was responsible for the release, or is it the rescue of the young boys?
Rescue.
But on the other hand, we heard from the Katsina State Governor, Masari, that it was in collaboration with Miyetti Allah, and then the governor of Zanfara State, Matawale, also said that he was at, he led the negotiations to release these boys. So exactly which one is it? And is it, is it bandits or Boko Haram?
My advice to you is that just like you got access to this Mr. Shehu Garuba now, try as much as possible to get across to them and get this clarification and put all together and then analyze it to the public. But not for me. Something that I have said that I don't know about, I was not even focused on it, I was not even thinking about it. To now begin to respond to it will not be fair to the general public and be fair to the armed forces of Nigeria, and I'm very
No, but you did state in a statement, unless I'm
I'm
misquoting what you said.
You are misquoting it, yes, right.
That
because
the defense
I said
headquarters that actually rescued the boys.
Yeah, we rescued. Rescue is not negotiation.
No, I'm not even talking about negotiation.
We rescued them
who
kinetically.
led the charge in releasing or rescuing the school boys?
Yes, we have our
military. Is it Miyetti Allah?
No, I talk about military alone. My commanders in the field.
That point is...
So the operation commander of Operation Hadar and Daji was the operation commander of the rescue team.
Okay.
Comprising Air Force, the DSS, and the police.
Okay.
And we got them out neat.
One of the things that helps is the fact that the video that came out, we saw, I think it's Sunny, I can't remember the name of the little man that spoke. In that video that was sent out initially, he did say that there's an appeal, that there were bombing and other things that happened. I reckon through effort of the military. Is that correct?
We did not carry out any bombing. No bombing at all, because if we had bombed, actually we knew, we got the location from the intelligence from day one. That is why I so commend all the stakeholders that provided that information, that we confirmed the location. If we had even shot a single bullet from the situation as it were, there would have been casualty.
Collateral damage?
Yes, particularly the children, so we did not. We thought, it has not been declassified, but I think I can say this, that we did a lot with our air platforms, both the gunships and the reconnaissance. Of course, we had to hover the whole of that area severally, moment by the moment. It has its own effect also. And then while at the same time, we provided the ground troops to ensure that there was no sleeping out of the 2 locations co-located.
Okay, we're being asked to begin to wind down, and one of the areas that we're quite keen to get an understanding of will be this issue of, if your interest is to ensure that there's no collateral damage and to make sure that none of the children were hurt and they're brought out alive, and that is exactly what you have done successfully. What about those who were either the hooligans or the thugs or the abductors or the kidnappers or whatever name we want to call them? Where are they? What happened to them? Did you capture them, or did they run away and abandon the children?
That is the information that I will not give on the air now. Because if I do that, first and foremost, our informants will be compromised, their safety. We need to protect them. Okay. 2, it will jeopardize our operation in all the other forests, because our ultimate aim is to clear the whole of that forest. So that is why that information is classified for now.
Okay. I would also like to know whether the army is overwhelmed in terms of numbers and equipment to fight terrorism to a standstill, because you seem to be putting out a lot of fires from the northeast, northwest, of course, north central, and all of that. Is the military overwhelmed?
That is a question that I have not answered anywhere, and I will not answer it, because first and foremost, it is beyond me to answer. Anything that has got to do with the equipment, the capacity of the armed forces of Nigeria is even beyond the military. And that is where you hear from other sources making case or talking about it. If I say that we're overwhelmed, that means we're not ready to work. Because our training is that you work with what you have. Otherwise, ordinarily, how will you think of maybe our one operation rescuing 344 in the midst of all the challenges all over? So please bear with us that we are ready to take on any assignment if we get all the things that we require, particularly information, credible information, and with their cooperation.
And speaking of credible information, the Chief of Army Staff, Tukur Buratai, made a statement that got a lot of Nigerians worried a couple of weeks ago during the the promotion ceremony of generals, where he actually warned the generals not to do anything to compromise or jeopardize Nigeria's democracy. That there are filtrations. There's reports coming in that there's a possibility that some politicians may be approaching soldiers to truncate this democracy. Have investigations begun to ensure that this doesn't happen?
Well, I listened to that he did not say that there are reports. It's a normal caution, because I had to respond to this type of thing when I was DDI 2017. And again, I think at the onset of this, when somebody published something, it is a normal caution that you give to your subordinates in a situation like this. Because from our history, when you hear that military officers go to truncate governments, it does not really come from the military. Sometimes it comes from without. So you are being warned. Having worked hard for about 30 years, 25 years, 27 years to become a brigadier general, a major general, where do you go to? So be warned, because we are all human beings. There was no, to my knowledge, as a person, it did not come to my table. So it should be taken as a normal caution that you give to your subordinates. We call it DOBA, we call it to cautions, we call it warnings and all. And that is what it is. It behoves on every commander at every level to remind your subordinates of what they should do to keep themselves loyal to the oath of allegiance that we have sworn to the Constitution. Okay.
Major General John Enenche, the Coordinator of Defense Operations, thank you very much. You've answered all the questions. You've done superbly well.
Thank you very much
for the contribution to the program.
Thank you.